Hello, guys. Hello, 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 hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Let's see. Where are my speakers today? I'm thinking this is the second to the last episode. Yeah, I think it's the second to the last episode. The elections are in 2 weeks, so second to the last episode, yeah. I guess I may have to restart this, so I've not seen my hosts and my co-speakers. Guys, I have to come back. Bear with me. I have to come back. I'll see you guys soon. Oh, hold on. I've seen somebody. Oh, I've seen them. They have come. They have arrived. They have arrived. Good day, sir.
Day. Sorry about that. I was waiting for you to come on, and I keep starting over and over, and it didn't come up. So I started looking at my computer here, and I forgot to look at it before I saw that. Oh, you started. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How about you, sir?
Well, I'm not happy. I'm not a happy man today, but it's okay.
Why? What happened?
Arsenal now. We lost 2 points, and you guys gained points today, and Man City won again. Madam, you are always looking lovely. I love this. This is nice.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam. How are you?
Sorry, I had to.
Our host is smiling. He's smiling so broad today. Everything has been going smoothly. He has no complaint, no referee issue, no VAR, nothing. Everything is smooth. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. We are not saying anything.
You shouldn't.
This is just February. We still have with the season ends in May, I think.
Yeah, we got time.
So don't worry.
Where is Sister Mavara? Is she going to join her?
I've reached out to her. I've sent her messages. I've reached out to her. Let's see. You should be able to join. All right. How are you doing, Yetunde?
I'm good, Jerry. I'm good.
It's like you have been, because you are laughing. You are in a jolly mood today. It's good.
Oh, I'm tired. I have a household of people not feeling too well, so yeah.
And you are
so, but
in-house now.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, but I'm okay, Sha. Okay. Other than that, I'm doing okay. What else? Following Nigeria's drama. She is giving me all the laugh I need this week. So,
but Shehu has been getting a lot of support though. So I don't know. I think Shehu Kuti have been getting. You're talking about Shehu Kuti?
Yes.
Yeah. He's been getting a lot of support.
Yes, indeed. Yes, yeah. I mean, his politics aside, is just more of like we said. Respect other people's choice and opinion, and it's not your place to. Even myself and my husband, we don't always agree on the same politics. So who are you as an outsider to think you want to tell me what politics, what I should support or not support? It's not your place.
Yeah,
we are still individual people at the end of the day.
It's even getting worse. I have close friends calling me and be like, "Don't you think we should think about this? That." Shiwaju is too old. This Obi guy, I'll be like, look, I'm not holding you from making your own choice, and stop trying to advise me on what we should talk about. I made my choice early enough, since about almost 3 years ago, that I've already thought this man is going to run. I said, so you're not going to come to me at this time and start talking to me about Obi. I said, I've been debating about Obi for almost 1 year now. So don't tell me, and at the end, always get to. So
and again, you know, the thing is for me, the age thing, first off, this is all ageism and discrimination against someone that is older.
exactly.
There's
And you don't
nothing
do
in
that in the United
Nigerian
States.
constitution.
You cannot
Yeah,
do that.
there's actually a law against you discriminating
Yeah.
against somebody based on age in the United States.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not even in their own constitution does it stipulate that certain age cannot run for office.
Exactly.
This is a nation that the Republicans are actually trying to change the law that retirement age should be 70. So they cannot tell me about this thing. So if they don't believe that people can still function at 70, so why are they trying to make the age of retirement 70 instead of 65? So they can, you know, and somebody living in the United States, if you ask me, if you try to talk to me about somebody in Nigeria is 70, I will ask you, who did you vote for in the last election in the United States? Because if you voted for Biden, Biden is way older than Ashwaj. So don't come here and be telling me this thing. So
Biden was, Trump was. So if you voted for Trump, Trump was older. If you are, he's still older, and if you voted for Biden, he's still older. So
yes. If you supported Bernie Sanders, he's older.
Also old, you know. So there is no sense behind it. But at the end, whoever the choice of running is a personal thing. If he chose to run, that is up to him to prove that. If you don't like his age, don't vote for him. However, you cannot say he should take all the structure that he has built for 30 years and give it to somebody because you think that person deserves it. No.
No. Who actually can?
He has the right to do it, and the Constitution supports him to do that.
It supports it. If we want to be aged, then we need to stipulate it in our Constitution and say age of retirement in Nigeria is 60. Therefore, if you are already 60 and above, you cannot run for elected offices. Then I will understand that that is a constitutional thing. Until then, we can't debate this.
I think that's their problem. That's their wahala. All of that don't concern me, because every morning when I wake up, I always see they always tag me on many things. They always leave messages every morning when I wake up. Someone that you guys know, that one tagged me long epistle. I don't think if he had done that kind of epistle in the university, he'll have come out with a very good, grade. Tagging me early in the morning. I'm like, what's the meaning of all this? They've called me, I am the enemy of Nigerian youth. They have said that live. They called me like this, I'm the enemy of Nigerian youth. No problem. And when they talk about age, I always ask them one simple question back, or I'll just, like a rhetorical question. Is it about age, or is it about someone that will create jobs? Is it about age, or is it someone that will bring revenue, that will bring more development, that will bring investors into the country? What are the problems of the country? And who can do all of these things the best amongst everybody there? That is what I am concerned about. What concerns me with the age or the else? So that's what I tell them. Like, this is the problem. To create jobs. People don't have jobs. People don't have money in their pocket. So is it fine boy or young man that will create the jobs, or someone that can actually do the job? That's what I'm concerned about. I'm not ready to start doing all these emotions, blah blah blah. That's how I address them. Very simple.
And they usually counter with that. They say, oh, because he's old, is God forbid, is about to die, and that the North will take it over. And I say, why are you imputing debt on somebody you don't even know? Why are you doing that? Will you like somebody to do that to your own dad? If your dad is maybe contesting for chairman of your street or your estate, and they are praying that your dad is too old to die, why will you be doing that? And people don't even know what they are saying just because they are passionate about somebody else. And it's just
emotional, not passionate. Emotional.
It links together.
Emotional. No, I don't think they are together. I don't know. You see, it's emotional, not passionate, because passionate and you are thinking, it defies logic.
Yeah.
To me, just defies logic. Like, just sit down holistically. Just sit down holistically and think about this thing through. Do I want jobs? Do I want money to fix infrastructure? Do I want good roads? Do I want good programs, good policies
that
can be adopted
in Nigeria too? Because you need somebody that can reach across the aisle, you know, shake hands with other tribes and all that.
And that is also key, because you need a negotiator that is well accepted across the whole 36 states, including the FCT.
Yes.
You need a very good politician, because politics comes before governance, and governance comes before growth and development. And on that note, let us move on. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, everyone, and welcome to the Tinubu Shettima APC PCC 2023 Diaspora Directorate Pitch the Plan series. This is episode 13, and this is on youth and women empowerment. Now, this is the second to the last episode. I think the last episode on this particular program will be next week. We're going to work towards getting all of the team members that you have seen on this program. We're going to have some sort of a Zoom connection. We're going to walk through that so that we'll just, do a recap, have a recap. We're going to get people engaged and involved, ask questions, just make it the last push before the elections in February 25 of 2023. So now, let's go. Because of time, we don't want to spend too much time today. I myself, I have to get to the airport today, and I know some of us have engagements here and there, so I want to respect people's time. Moving forward, youth empowerment and entrepreneurship. So when we look at the youths in general, like you see maybe from 18 to 35 years or 18 to 40 years, but in Nigeria in general, the age bracket, that's about 70% of our population. In fact, from 0 to, is it 15 years or 18 years, you have 70% Nigerians. Like 70% of Nigerians are in that age bracket. So Nigeria is a very young population. In fact, Africa in general is a very, very young population. And we've been experiencing a lot of unemployment. It is not a hidden fact. It is glaring in our eyes. Like unemployment in Nigeria is about 30-something%, 33, 34%. Underemployment, that one is about 20-something%, 20 to 25%. So when you add unemployment and underemployment, you're looking at about 55-56%. No country can run or operate that way. And remember, in Nigeria, it is between 18 years to 65 years. So that is the bracket we are looking at, the age group, 18 years to 65 years. That's when we talk about unemployment and all of that. And STAT will also tell you that one person in Nigeria is responsible for 4 other Nigerians. I repeat again, one person in Nigeria is responsible for catering to 4 other Nigerians. These are stats that the Asiwaju administration would want to improve. From 1, want to make it 2. From 2, want to make it 3. And I want to get to a point where it is very, very healthy. Because of course, yes, 0 to 18 years, you have to be a dependent. But once you are above 18, you can start bringing value, financial value, monetary value, because that is what unemployment fixes. So I'm just going to go into some little snippets here, and I'm going to let the expert speak on it. The expert is Yetunde Mamatuzi. She's an expert in many, many things. So at times, like this lady knows it all, but as I say, nobody knows it all, but she knows it all to some certain extent. And then the certain extent, that's where me and I hide. She knows it all to some certain extent. I mean, the little extent. I know that little extent. Then I have Barrister Bisiriyu, that is the policy maker or the policy writer. So you would explain to us how all of these policies and all of these ideas and all of this what's in the manifesto, what Asiwaju is saying, how it's going to come to fruition. So, Mama Tuzi, I gave a brief introduction, but I just want you to, I've already given like a brief introduction as to where we are as a nation. So now I want to talk about youth entrepreneurship and job creation that the Asiwaju administration is bringing to the fore. And it talks about 5 different key points. One is easy access to credit. The second one is business mentorship for youth.
Yes.
The third one is Youth Advisory Council. The fourth one is NYSC reform. And the fifth one in this category is business incubation centers. So in about, I'll say 1.5 minutes, could you just explain to us what Asiwaju is saying on each of these? Do you have them written down somewhere? What I just read now?
I know. I just talked about it recently, so I kind of
have still just talked about it. This is not where you come and brag, man. This is not where you come and brag. But for people that are trying to figure out what we are talking about here, this is what we are talking about here. Renewed Hope 2023. So for a lot of people that may not have access to reading it, it's 80 pages. You may not have access to it. We are here to explain in details as regards what it entails in it. So I will yield the floor for Yetunde Mamatuzi to explain to us what Asiwaju is saying. And then once she's done, then I'm going to go to okay, I think I will just go to Barrister Bisiriyu to tell us how these things will come to life, from the policy standpoint. Thank you.
All right. So, hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I don't think anybody's in morning yet. It's still night or afternoon somewhere. Except, of course, if you're in China. Good morning. One thing we do know about youth empowerment is that any society that wants to grow, they have to empower their youths. And we know that studies have actually data supported. Studies have supported this, that when you give youth the resources, the skills, the empowerment that they need, it just doesn't benefit themselves or their loved one or their distant. It benefits the community at large. Everybody benefits. The government benefits because then you have decrease in crime rates. You have somebody creating jobs, contributing to the community, contributing to the country itself. So that is why it's very important. And Asiwaju has been somebody that actually understands this. He's always been someone that actually empowers youths and wants young people to go to be empowered. As a matter of fact, speaking directly himself through one of the interviews that we actually just saw recently, this was something he gave back in, I think, 2018 or 2019, that he said that if you're a leader and you did not empower any young person, you didn't actually treat our young people on how to become leaders, how to empower them politically or economically for them to be useful to the community, to the society, you have failed as a leader. That was his exact word. That was what he said, that you are a failure. So when we talk about youth empowerment, the approach of Asiwaju is 5 key approaches. When you talk about these 2 categories that is now divided into subcategories. But the first category was on youth empowerment and job creation. And that's the one Bongoli was mentioning about where the 5 different things. When you talk about easy access to credit, business mentorship, Youth Advisory Council, NYSC reform, and of course, when you're talking about the Business Incubation Center, which I will explain later. But number 1, which is the access to credit. Who in Nigeria actually have money lying around that can just go put into business? Nobody. Not the kind of business you want to do. And right now, the way our Nigerian banks work, nobody actually can get any loan. That's one major bridge that is so difficult to cross, to fly over. So easy access to credit. And the way Ashwaji plans to do that is through partnerships with CBN and commercial banks. They're going to come up with a scheme that would deliberately target youth-led enterprises. Because we are trying to encourage young people that are entrepreneurs, we're going to do that. There are banks that are government-owned banks or government-affiliated banks. They will be encouraged to do same too. And the reason why I said this makes sense is because even in the almighty United States, government have these things in place, which I'm sure Lawyer Bisiri will talk about later. When we're talking about SBA Act is the Small Business Act. It's there. That's the role. That's what they do. They help, they empower, they give credit out, they give loans to small businesses, small, medium enterprises. They target them. These are government policies, and these are things that we can bring into Nigeria. And as a matter of fact, it's not like we don't have something similar. We have that in agriculture. The issue is the efficiency of it, which can be cleaned up, and we can expand it to larger industry, not just agriculture. And the second thing is the business mentorship. As I can tell you, as a small business owner, my husband is a small business owner himself. I'm a partner in one of them. The most difficult thing is being in a startup business. If you are not the type, one thing we learned was my husband is never the type that is afraid to ask people that are in this business and say, hey, sir, it doesn't matter if you're a white guy, one old white guy that he just meets and say, so what is this? So that's why he can, if you ask him any business, most businesses, he can tell you about it. This is a guy that's called Boeing and asked about, he wants to start an airline, what does he need to do? So nobody can Boeing him. He will tell you, no, that's not true. This is it. So, those are the kind of things you need mentorship. We've talked about business with people here. They've gone into it not understanding it and not asking questions, and they failed. And are stuck with $50,000, $100,000 in debt because they went into something they don't fully understand. Lawyer Bisiri, you talked about something last week about empowering some people, giving them money. And because they didn't have the full understanding of what they're doing, it failed. So this mentorship is going to be on a volunteer basis. So if you have companies, small business enterprises, professionals that volunteer themselves to help coach these people, coach young people, they have to be people that are passionate about getting our youth out of poverty. So that will be open, that avenue will be open, private, government-wise, whatever, to help. And then there's Youth Advisory Council. This ties into general thing, actually. I see the Youth Advisory Council just for job creation. As a matter of fact, I see it for everything. Because as a young person myself, I will want to be heard, when they are doing policy that will affect my pocket. I want to be part of it. I want to be able to contribute. I'm a stakeholder too. So that will be the job of that role. So we have our young people that will be part of this advisory council, and they can say, okay, this is what we believe should be done. This is how we think we can empower more people like us, like this. So they will be there. It is their own job. As a matter of fact, there's something else I'm going to talk about later. And the role of the Youth Advisory Council will be key when we're talking about that. It's under the social program. So I will revert back to Youth Advisory. Then the fourth one is, of course, is the NYSC reform. How frustrating is it that I will go to school, study banking and finance, and then NYSC will decide to post me to some place to go and teach. If you post me to school, that's even fine. If you tell me to teach math or teach account or something, accounting or something, but then you are telling me to teach agric. How is that empowering me? If I go to school and I'm doing internship, because NYSC is like an internship. If I'm doing internship, the internship should correlate with what I actually studied in school. That's how you can prepare me going into the business world. Be prepared. So now the NYSC will be reformed so we can have better matching for our youths when they come out of school to prepare them going forward. Besides that, government of Ashwaji is also going to look for ways to incentivize private businesses that retain our NYSC graduates. That can retain them, maybe through tax break, which he himself had said. If you create 500 jobs, if you hire 500 young people, 500 Nigerians, why shouldn't a government give tax incentives to organizations like that? So those are the things that we'll be looking into. And then lastly, we have the business incubation centers. When somebody might ask, like, what is business incubation centers? Well, they are like organizations that are created to just help you, whether you want to do your startups, to help you with when you talk about patency, when you talk about your trademarks, your intellectual property, guiding you to help you do all this, set it up, enlighten you, teach you, help you get the resources. So this is not just going to be one place in Abuja somewhere. Its plan is to have it in all around the country, have it in different places, so that you have, as a young person, if you have some, I'm always encouraged when I read on social media about a young boy that just built this robot or did this. I know how the society is right currently, the way it is not so empowering to young talents like that. But it will be good when we have things like that in place that can help you. Whatever you create can give you resources on how to protect your intellectual property, so it's not stolen or anything like that. So that would be the role of the business incubation centers. So that is what that means. Then now, when you talk about the youth the social and political empowerment, I can say that I don't think that it's okay. We can't hear you, Ja.
I'm sorry. I was like, hold on. Thank you for getting the sign language. Now, you have spoken very well. One thing that I really got interesting, so much interesting, is when we began to talk about the business incubation centers. And I was also thinking about, everyone is doing content creation now in Nigeria.
Yes.
And now with content creation now, there's a lot of intellectual properties involved in that, invested in that. Because when you turn on your TV, go on YouTube or any social media app, you don't want to see the same kind of content.
Yes.
Nigerians are doing, content creators are doing, and they are doing amazing jobs, unbelievably amazing jobs, because no two contents are the same. So how do you ensure that you get the most bang for your buck? How do you ensure that nobody's stealing anyone's intellectual property, no one's taking anyone, suing anyone to court? How do you ensure that they actually do the right trademark, actually do the right registration, actually get it monetized? How do you ensure all of that? It has to be trained, it has to be specialists, well-seasoned specialists in that field or in a similar field. And that is where the mentorship comes in. Because the plan is to have about 2 million mentors, yes, mentoring people, volunteering anyway. You can be a mentor, I can be a mentor, yes, you can be a mentor. Should you qualify for the kind of mentorship and or skill sets that you're looking for? Yes. So now, Barrister Bisiriyu, Yetunde has spoken on all of these beautiful ideas on youth entrepreneurship and job creation. So how will all of this be possible from a policy standpoint?
Yeah, thank you. From what Asiwaju has, I think there has been a consistency in the ideas and plan of Asiwaju across all sectors in his manifesto. And basically, the biggest part of it is public-private partnership. Yes. And I think that eliminates a lot of bureaucracy, eliminates a lot of some form of corruption, because usually when everything is in the hands of a public service officer, there is a tendency for corruption to creep in, even if there is no intention for that. And it's usually from the position of people who require service and they want it very fast and they want to find a way to ask the public officer acting on that action to maybe put them in front of the line or do something different for them and all that. And before you know it, you have corruption creeping in. So, but with public-private partnership, like for instance, the loan that involves the commercial banks and CBN. The commercial banks are in it for profit. CBN, is taking care of the people's taxes, if everyone pays taxes. But we know that there is a form of tax collection going on in Nigeria. So it's the people's money. So in order to safeguard the people's money and accountability, they create a situation where the commercial banks know that they lose profit by engaging in certain form of corruption. And because the market is so large, is so wide in terms of the number of youths that are going to participate in it and the continuity in business, that if this works out, keeps the bank solvent over time. That is another crop of customers that they have to deal with regularly. So I believe that the biggest part of the policy end is representation. And when I say representation, is representation of youth in the cabinet of Asiwaju, protecting the interests of youth right there. And Asiwaju understands that, and that's why in his manifesto, he has promised that he's going to have a minimum of 9 cabinet members. So it's going to be 3 cabinet members.
Hold on. Now that you have gone there, now let me read from the manifesto what is actually saying. Just hold your thoughts, sir, because I want them to hear from the horse's mouth, and then you can explain to us. Hold on, sir. This is on social, and then you can chime in once Barrister Bisiriyu is done. This is on the social and political empowerment. Reserve at least 3 cabinet positions for persons under the age of 40 and 6 more positions for members under the age of 50. We shall also pass a presidential directive requiring that at least 20% of political appointments to MDAs meaning ministries, departments, and agencies. We have over 1,000 of them anyway in Nigeria. Reserved for qualified people under the age of 40. We shall make permanent a biannual State of the Youth survey to create a platform for young Nigerians to give feedback to the government regarding their opinions on the performance of government, paying special attention to youth empowerment programs and policies. Last but not least, build on the successes of the one-day governor program, which was started by Asiwaju. And I just realized, or not realized, just 2 weeks ago in the news, MTN is doing something similar in Nigeria. Now they are doing the one-day CEO. MTN in Nigeria is doing one-day CEO now.
I think GTB did it too. GTB did it.
Yeah, they are doing it now. That's what I'm saying. So now, the policies that Asiwaju put in place when he started in 1999, now, private institutions are also doing such programs. That is the transformational agenda that we are looking forward to should he become president. And that is why we are following this man, actually. Things he did like 2 decades ago are things that are still replicating themselves today. Visionary. Not all the emotional ranting and all of that people do. We don't care about that. We will establish a presidential fellowship scheme to give talented and determined young Nigerians new opportunities to experience and participate in governance and politics from an early age. All right, Barrister Bisiriyu, you can hit the floor now. I just wanted to just let people understand what he was saying. So, Barrister Bisiriyu, you only have 2 minutes to talk about this so that Yetunde can speak on it, and then we can go to Yetunde only program, which is women empowerment. I know be woman, so you talk.
So basically, the purpose of that is that Asiwaju understand representation, and representation of a particular demography helps push policies to the benefit of that demography. Now, we are talking about youth here, and he understands that the level of experience between age below 40 and age below 50 are kind of different, because usually you get to the peak of your career at the age of 40. you know, and anything between 40 and 55, that is the best you can offer in terms of your career. So he knows what he's talking about, and he believes that with that, it is easier for the people in governance to hear from the representatives in the cabinet how the youth feel, what is going to sell, the mentality of the youth at that time, and the difference in the age bracket in terms of success and you know, the beginning and those that are in the middle, or maybe mid-C level executives, and maybe those that are just starting. So I think that these policies are going to be written based on what it is that all these members of this demographic can contribute to the Asiwaju administration. And because he understands mentorship, he understands that no one knows it all, that even him, as experienced as he is in the matters of state of Nigeria, needs input from people who are part of that circle, that social strata, that is giving them this opportunity. The governorship program and the presidential fellowship scheme, I think, is a good thing. I think it helps develop leadership. It lets people understand the responsibility that comes with being at the top, and also let us know that it is not about youth. It is about training and habits. It is not about whether you are strong and you can do everything. You can find yourself in deep waters if you don't have the capacity for certain jobs. For instance, in the United States here, when they make you in the federal government, when they make you the head of department, it is not because you are the smartest kid from university or because you have all these degrees. No, it is because in those government departments, there are multiple sub-departments, and you need to have an idea how each one of them work for you to be able to make decisions concerning each members of those things. Now, if you are just out of school and because you are young, they say, oh, lead this group, be the departmental head, you will fail. That's why as a senior executive service member in the United States government, minimum, it's usually about 55 years old. And it's not because they are looking at the age, it's the experience you have been in rank. And probably the least I think I've seen is maybe 20 years in service for you to be an SES, you know. So when people talk about age, is young, is this, it's not the young that matters. It is that there are complex issues that require some form of experience, that require some form of habit in how it is managed, that require that you have seen it before, and that does not require emotions. It needs to be as practical and concise as possible. And only one person, at least that we know right now, amongst the competitors, understand that, and it is reflected in his manifesto.
Thank you very much. Because of time, we'll have to move to women empowerment. So women empowerment, I'm just going to keep it I'm going to go straight to the point for this, because I want people to have the opportunity to ask questions also. Disclaimer, I know be woman, and I don't know if I think Barrister Bisura can speak for him. He's a man. Yetunde is a woman. So Yetunde will yield the floor for her to talk. I will give her some time to talk. As regards women empowerment, Asiwaju is talking on the following. He's speaking on social inclusion and political empowerment for our women, economic empowerment for our women, fighting domestic violence and abuse. Now that one also, Mr. Bishiru can chime in that one, because that's his field. Educational parity and helping the most disadvantaged. Now, all of these 5 key points here, if you look at women empowerment, I think all 5 key points encapsulate or addresses most of the problems that an average or the average Nigerian woman faces. Now, what is the educational parity when it comes to our women versus our men? Access to more access to opportunities, getting the same kind of jobs that men, also get. I'm not saying equality per se. That's not what I'm saying here, or feminism. No, I'm not pushing that. That's not what I'm saying here. But I'm saying on merit. If a woman deserves it, as you are saying, give it to that woman. And in fact, we're even going to lay more emphasis on women. We're going to bring our women up to par. Now, disadvantaged. There are some certain regions in our society that we have, in some certain demographics that our women are not as educated. So what are plans for Asiwaju? Asiwaju is saying is going to improve on all of that. Not only the women, but everyone in general in that demographic. But now we are speaking on the women. So I'm going to yield the floor. Yetunde, please, in little snippets like you did when we started talking about youth empowerment. I've read 5 key points. I'll read it again. Social inclusion and political empowerment of the Nigerian woman. Economic empowerment of the Nigerian woman. Fighting domestic violence and abuse by his probable government. Educational parity provision. And helping the most disadvantaged. The floor is yours. I yield the floor.
All right. Thank you. One thing first, we need to get something first. When you empower women, you are not just empowering the woman, you're empowering the entire community, you're empowering the household, generation of women. When women work, businesses thrive, communities will thrive. There's no way you can empower women. Women's economic empowerment is central for them to realize, for the realization of women's rights generally, or to end any kind of discrimination. That is the fact. It's not about pushing feminism or anything. Our women must be empowered. And I can make it bold that Nigeria of today, of all the political leaders in Nigeria of today, Asiwaju has empowered so many women, whether professionally or politically. He has done that for everybody. I don't know what everybody's doing, but I can speak for him. So, because they are still alive, a lot of these women are still alive, and we can see them. And number one of them is his wife, a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, what do we gain as a society when we empower women? Of course, equal participation in everything. We are not talking about, oh, I'm bigger than my husband or anything. No, but equal participation in something that makes the society work. Access and control over their productive life. Access to decent work. We're talking about control over their time and their own resources. We're talking about meaningful participation in politics or in professional life. We are talking about right to education. One of the studies that came out in 2010, the one I had, I did something then, I wrote something a long time ago. In 2010, when you talk about gender parity in Nigeria, 54% of our women have some kind of, 54% of our adult female have literacy. Compare that to 75% of our male. Nigeria currently have a very high number of out-of-school children. Many of those, in fact, the larger percentage of that number is all our girls. Is our girls, not the boys, it's the girls. In households, it's not uncommon for them to say, you know what, we have issues with money and we need to opt this thing before you go to school. We pull the girls out of school and send the boys to school. So the girls are the ones going to sell things so they can get money for the boys to go to school. Is that fair? In my opinion, no. So no child, whether boys or girls, should not have access to something that will make our life or his life better in the future. Access to resources that can give them a brighter future. And Asiwaju recognizes this, just like you said. That's why these 5 major things that you talked about, you actually highlighted that. Besides everything else that is even talked about when it comes to on the general economy, he's already talked about agriculture for women. He's already talked about digital economy for women. If they are teachers, it's talked about all of those. But specifically for women empowerment, social inclusion and political inclusion. We've all heard about last year. A bill was sent to the Congress in Nigeria about making it statutory that women can occupy certain percentage of the Congress seats. It didn't work because the defense was, well, so which state are we going to force this on or something like that? But we can do better. Women don't have money to compete in elections because we know that election is expensive. Even in America, election is expensive. And for women, that's why we don't have so many women running for office, even here, because it's not cheap to run for office. Talk of Nigeria. Where would the woman get it from? It's not something that is cheap. So we need to make it statutory. The 35% that was given, that was quoted, that they would make 35% allocation for women in politics, assign it. We need to fight for that and get it. And Ashwaju understands that, and he's going to work for that. As a matter of fact, the plan is to work with the National Assembly to come up with legislation to promote this, so that this is a statutory thing. It's not going to be just somebody wants to do something, or tomorrow somebody will say, no, that's not binding on me. Not if the Congress already passed it into law. Then it's binding on whoever is coming in. It doesn't matter who you are. We're going to have private institutions that will be, we are going to try to encourage private institutions also to toe the line of the government when it comes to assigning roles or putting consideration into women in leadership. To tell you the truth, even in America, even in school, if you look at an MBA program, you have 40 male and you only have 3 females in that class. Even in the United States, we are still trying to break the glass ceiling. Hopefully we'll get there. So it's a worldwide thing, but Nigeria needs to do better when it comes into that. Then when you talk about economic empowerment, I did say that economic empowerment of women is central to them realizing equal participation and help them against gender disparity. To help with the gender disparity. Of course, maybe somebody might say, I'm sure we know 1 or 2 people that have been discriminated against in Nigeria because they are women. Even here, a lot of times it's not said, but passively we know, because if you're a woman, they're actually, their concern is, oh, women can't be in position of this because they will be distracted. They have kids, they have husband, they have this, they get emotional, all of this stuff. And then we even have women that are against women being in position of authority because they believe that the place for a woman is in the kitchen and in the home. I for one do not believe that, and I'm grateful that I had a father that never believed that believed that the woman should aspire to whatever she wishes to aspire to. And Abshiwaju is one of those men, because if he doesn't believe in that, I don't think his wife will be in Congress. He will say, my wife should be in the kitchen making tea and just serving me tea. So he's doing that. And he's going to try to bring that into his own administration. And think about it. Somebody that has a wife that aspires to that level, do you think that wife will just sit idly and not push her husband and say, no, we need to do more for our girls? Senator Oluremi actually does a lot when it comes to women empowerment for our constituents. You can read that. It's online. If you go to oluremitinubu.com, you'll see all the information there. But that is one of the areas that Ashwaju is going to be looking into. Encouraging commercial banks. We talked about commercial banks, partnering with commercial banks for loans for youth. They are going to do the same thing for women. And, I don't doubt that, because even SBA, that I talked about earlier in the United States here, they have programs targeted specifically for people of the minority group. For someone like me, I'm double minority. I'm a woman and I'm Black. So I qualify on 2 fronts for certain things. If I'm bidding for contract for USPS to be carrying their mail, I will most likely get it because I am minority. I'm a woman and I'm also Black. So they didn't just say you're a minority because you're Black. No, I'm a minority because I'm also a woman. So that is what Ashwaji is talking about when he's talking about economic empowerment also. We'll be liaising with banks to come up with programs that can target loans to women-owned enterprises so we can help them. Women don't have extra money lying around somewhere. They need resources for their businesses to thrive. That is what we're going to do. And then when we talk about education parity, I think I already mentioned that. I'm glad that we have the Feed the Children program that they still have in schools. And I'm happy that they will continue that, because many of our kids, the meal they eat in school is probably the only meal of the day they will have. It's the same thing even here in the United States. We have kids that they don't get to eat anything until they get to school. That meal they get in school is the major meal they will eat for a day. A lot of things like that keeps kids out of school. So if we have that all around, kids can go to school. If we empower the household, the mothers can get support because they are disadvantaged groups. They can be supported. Of course, there's no reason for those kids not to go to school, because that's why I'm putting the education parity and the disadvantaged group that Ashwaji wrote there, supporting that group and putting it together. Because when you empower a disadvantaged group, which many of the disadvantaged groups are women in the household, they cannot contribute. If you empower them, give them loans, give them skills, it's not just giving them money, it's also giving them skills. Because skills is what is selling now. If you give them skills and they know if it's whatever it is they want to do, weaving stuff or sewing or hair or whatever, if they have the skills and you give them the resources to start their own thing, you teach them and train them, there's no reason for them to keep their kids at home. Those kids can go to school. They can be taken taken away from the street and put in the school system. We can encourage our families to do that. And of course, it's not going to be all government. We'll have private organizations, NGOs, partnering with them to help with that. Okay.
1 minute.
Oh.
No, I said 1 minute. You just have 1 minute left.
Okay, yeah. I'm on my last statement anyway. My last topic. Domestic violence. Yes. Domestic violence. When we talk about domestic violence, Michelle, I will revert back to that. Let me finish the domestic violence thing. Unfortunately, last year we lost 3 of our women, just like every year all in Nigeria, that women die from domestic abuse, domestic violence. Of course, we've had men too die in 2022 also from domestic violence, that their wives stabbed or whatever. So there are going to be law. Lagos has a law in place. I don't know about other states, but I do know that Lagos has a law in place. So we're going to take that law national. It is going to be something that we, as a society, we also need to change our mindset around people reporting domestic violence or divorces and stuff like that, because it's more complex than just putting it on a paper. Truly, it is complex. But what Ashwaji is emphasizing is, besides putting it into a law in Nigeria, we're going to actually have our police departments are going to be trained to handle this. It's not about just saying we have a law on this. Police units have to have a division specifically for domestic violence. Those will be specialists that can handle cases like this. They can investigate cases like this. And it won't stop there. What Ashwaji is saying is, government and in partnership with private too, we're going to have like sanctuary homes that women can go to for safety if they leave, because a lot of people are like, if I leave, where am I going to go? Well, we're going to have that where you can be protected while things are being worked out. The public defense office is already there. I have a friend that still used it last year to get divorced from her abusive spouse and everything. So I can tell you that is working in Lagos. But we are going to revamp those things to make it efficient. And to quickly answer the question of Michelle about free education.
No, don't address anybody.
Michelle, we'll come back to it during question and answer. We'll come back to your question.
No. Barrister Bisiriyu, please. What is your take on?
So she has actually addressed most of the salient part of the domestic violence abuse issue here. I think the biggest part is representation. I think it's not just sufficient to have a specialist police unit as it is stated in this manifesto. I think what constitutes that special unit also matters, because this is a country with a lot of patriarchal culture where men will protect men. And, and it is hard for a woman to go complain to men that constitute a special police unit, and they are like, what to make we do for you? That means where you two listen to your husband, something like that. So like I said in the previous section, representation is important. It has to be constituted with women police officers and some men police officers. And I think there should be some form of psych evaluation before admitting them into that special unit, so that they know certain positions. There are ways we do it in the United States government, where they ask you a couple of questions for them to get your mindset on what you're about to work on. And it's not like they're going to say, oh, we don't want you. They're just not going to make you part of that team because of your kind of mindset. So if they have some form of psychologists involved in the policy making, so that they can find a way to screen those that are involved in this special investigative unit, so that you have a mind that is open. We are not saying that they should exclude men exclusively. We are just saying that a man that has open mind, that understands that a woman could have a genuine reason to report abuse, and that in the process of investigation, conclusion should not be made from the beginning, and that biased mindset does not set in to the extent that it makes the whole policy or the whole idea a waste of time and inefficient. So I think it's a good thing to identify it. I think the implementation of the policy has to have some representation of women. And she mentioned something that men too get beat these days. So the position of the strength in the family is shifting a little bit, and it's because some women make more money than some men now, and to a certain extent that also maybe sometimes reduce the level of violence that occur between men and women, to the extent that the man does not want to get in trouble with a woman that can actually pay the police to finish you. You understand? So to a certain extent, that is shifting. But overall, I think that is a good idea. I think the idea of a sanctuary home is very important because of the kids, and also because we need those children to grow up in very good homes. And home that is festered with violence breeds children that become violent. And there is no way around it. They see it and they think it's normal. Some become too soft, some become too aggressive. But when you have a balance of where a family, a man respects the woman, and they can find a way, or if it gets to violence, you can pull them out, either the children, and then you have incentive, you find a way to bring the family together of some sort. I hope that works. But the biggest problem against it is economic empowerment. Women without jobs can't leave an abusive man. It's impossible, because you are exposing them to something else.
We are entering another realm.
Okay.
That's another realm of conversation there. Okay. We talk about economic empowerment. They are linking it. There is a direct correlation with domestic violence.
Yes.
Well, we'll leave that one for Daddy Freeze and Co. That is on Daddy Freeze. That's on Daddy Freeze platform. Okay. I'm not doing any shows on Daddy Freeze. So,
well, I guess that's why he did talk about the because those are the part of the empowering them and being economically empowered. Yes. The issue, like you said, about your society, the orientation also needs to change. Like because I do not expect that they will form a unit and just put somebody that have a skewed or biased attitude towards women being empowered in charge of, because that should be a special victims unit, and we need somebody like Olivia Pope to be in charge of that. And stay black as the guy there, if you are familiar with Law and Order Special Victims Unit. So we need to be...
I have issues with them, but that's for another day. Because I listened to John Oliver last week with John Oliver, and he had a program on Law and Order on HBO. That's another talk for another day. But I like this particular conversation because, like Yetunde said, Lagos State is one of the states, I think maybe the only state, that has domestic violence courts. That's why you see that in Nigeria, if there's domestic violence palaver, it's Lagos State. And I think SCT has something related to it. I think Ogun State has something. But I know Lagos State for a fact has domestic violence courts.
Because there's a law in Lagos, actually have a law in their own law, state's law, about domestic violence.
And domestic violence, yes.
Yeah, it was passed under Fashola, I believe.
So that is what is going to be the bedrock
or model,
just like the student loans. I know we're not talking about education here, but using the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund and the Kaduna State Student Loan Program, and using that as the bedrock and or foundation and or template for the student loan. So likewise for domestic violence also. But then there's a caveat to it here. The caveat is this criminal code and penal code that we use. We use penal code in the north. We use criminal code in the south. And in the penal code, I think section 55, subsection 1. And Barrister, I'm not quoting. I'm not a lawyer, so
look, I don't know. So I don't know.
I'm not trying to brag. Yeah, I'm not trying to be called to the bar by me trying to quote penal code. Yeah, so I crave your indulgence.
I'm learning too. Go ahead.
I crave your indulgence. It states, and I quote, 55. You guys can Google it. Section 55, subsection 1. It says a woman in the north, like, so long you don't have grievous harm as determined by the head of the society or the head of that community, it is not defined as domestic violence. Like your husband can correct you. So these are the section 55, subsection 1. Someone can check to confirm. I don't mean here on the platform anymore, but that is the penal code. So those are the kind of issues that we already have in Nigeria. And it's going to take legislation to change such issues. So when these kind of courts come into play, there's going to be a shift in mentality, a shift in culture, and an eventual shift in how we address such issues, both in the north and in the south.
But let me buttress. Okay, go on.
No. Ladies first. Okay. She's a lady. We're talking of domestic violence here. Though men get domestically violated, I'm not saying that, but lady first, then Barrister Bisiriyu. We'll go to questions quick. If there are no questions, we move on to the next week.
Okay. That is something that will be changed. The reason why I said that is something that will be changed is that is a law that's been there in the BCs, I mean the ADs. So that's been part of it. Is like a doctrine that's been there. Yes, you can correct your spouse and it's allowed, but not violence, which the penal code might need to actually, if they still want to keep that, they need to define it and make it more defined. You can correct somebody does not mean you should be violent against them. That is un-Islamic. It's in its own. And in fact, Islamically, it is grounds for divorce. So not beating somebody and being so violent. No, that is different. It's different from being corrective. And whatever code is there is not superior to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So laws can be changed if it's on a national level, if our National Assembly puts things into law that will accommodate the penal code, but at the same time, you still need to know what is your definition of this. And then Nigeria can say, okay, that's your definition, but we are going to do this and did this. Of course, you have to factor in a lot of things when you're talking about our culture, because even it's not just the North. Even the way we think marriage should run in the southern part of Nigeria too, or when you're even talking about property
It's more
law,
than
when you're
30
talking
seconds.
about
It's more
exactly,
than 30
well,
seconds.
I'm just
It's
saying,
more
so
than
a
30
lot.
seconds. Barrister BCU, it's more than 30 seconds. Please say what you want to say. It's more than 30 seconds.
Okay, so for that, I think that it requires more than just passing the law. It's going to require some more political tolerance and reaching across the aisle. And the reason is because the culture of the North was part of the reason why we have two, penal code and the criminal code. And most of the guardians of this penal code are not just going to sit around and let you walk over it. And I think that is why they put that caveat, grievous harm. Grievous harm, that is why they put it there, because so when it's excessive, then the leader of that community has to justify why it is not being referred to the government, you know, and in most cases it is covered. The home, it covers, the woman wears some kind, and it covers all the bruises, so you can't even see the grievous harm. So there is no way for you to say you want the man to get punished for that. And then, like we said before, most of these women are not empowered to take care of themselves. They rely on this man for everything. So it has to go beyond just changing the law. It has to start from social management of the society first. Let them even allow the women to work more, make their own money, and then gradually you can try to reach out to all these senators and the House of Rep of those regions on why it is important for this to change, and you can measure the temperature of their desire for it. And it depends also on the movement of the youth as they are participants in the governance. So if they are participants in the governance, as Asiwaju tries to make that happen, it is easier for them to convince more senators, more lawmakers to see this as a problem and give the women more opportunity. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, guys, have you seen the distinction between a barrister and a Bongoli? I just quoted the law, just quoted it. See how he said the word, this word, keyword, previous community leader. You can't walk over it. There are provisions.
Yes.
People see the difference is clear. People see it, Abby. All right, guys.
But let me see you.
15 seconds.
Okay.
15 seconds.
So the issue is when you're talking about those women being empowered, we do know that a lot of what needs to also happen, put into consideration, because besides the North, even in Southern Nigeria, there are a lot of people that just don't want their spouse to work regardless, which is okay. Some women don't mind. But when it comes to the government, the role of the government, when you're talking about disadvantaged groups, is to make social safety net. Let's put it that way. So that if a woman says, okay, I can't take this anymore, I'm leaving, they will know that they have the safety net in place to help them before they can get back on their feet. That can provide, at least here, if you leave, you can get food stamp, you know. You can still have insurance for the kids. So things like that also needs to come into play. Our government needs to put that in place so that these women can easily leave and say, okay, for 6 months, while I'm getting some kind of training for a year, whatever, I can, while government is trying to put me into with this skill center to learn some skills or whatever, there's something I can feed myself and I can take care of my kids if the kids come with me.
I think part of it is addressed with social programs.
Yes,
let
me just quickly,
yes, it is.
Respond.
See, it's only one question the audience will ask.
Yes, that's fine.
Wait, people may have to go out.
So I agree with you. The main issue is the mentality of our people. You see, and again, it is also very difficult for government to provide these things because when you put it in the hands of civil servants, either they start abusing these women, they don't make these things available. You know, there's so much that goes wrong. And then if you just put a place where they are not protected, you see this angry husband comes back with his goons and comes and drag his wife out of the place, and nobody protects the woman. So we escalate it to a certain extent. So that's why I said that it requires more than just provide those things. Yes, we can have them available, but we have this public-private partnership. So that way, the private sector will defend these women, protect them against an abusive husband that wants to come back, and then the program can easily integrate them into economic empowerment as best as possible, depending on what they want and what they are interested in, and also their children.
I agree.
That is also important. So that is my own question there.
I agree.
All right. So guys, does anyone have any questions? I need just one question because of time on youth and women empowerment. Does anyone in the audience have questions that they want to ask on Asiwaju's plans as regards youth and women empowerment? Does anyone have? Okay, I'm saying something. Let's see. Is this a question? I don't think. So this one is plenty. This one is a comment too. Sorry, Prof. I think we should take away the word mentality of our people, but should be the kind of human behavior we have as Nigerians. We're a very wicked kind of people. That is a strong comment.
But that in my opinion, you can't say wicked, because every human being has the natural nature to be bad. Everyone, if you have a child would defend his toy with everything it's got. Nobody teaches a child how to fight, how to defend his food, how to make sure nobody touches the milk that belongs to him. So every human being has that nature. Society has tempered that down to a certain extent because of positive law. And positive law in the sense that consequences for action that are antisocial. Now, if you say we are wicked, it is too broad for you to use that kind of word. When we use mentality, we are putting together multiple factors: the culture, the personality, the way the people are raised,
religion,
and so many other things, poverty, and all that. So everything forms a mentality of a person. You see, the way a rich person would think about certain things is different from the way a poor person would think about it. And because of that, you cannot just create a law that just solve one aspect of a problem without considering everything. And the only way to consider everything is to have stakeholders from all parts that are affected by that law: youths, young women, older women, married, single, and all that, to the extent that you can affect the change that you desire. But to say that we are wicked people, I think that is wrong, and it's too broad, and it's a blanket to a whole lot of culture that are good intrinsically, but sometimes the human nature takes over. And we have in America that you have serial killers. Those are people that are exhibiting the nature in humans without being able to curb it. And when they don't have power over that, they become who they are. And we hope that Nigeria will improve. Mama Z, do you have anything to say?
No, Bongoli has barred me from talking.
Thank you for understanding the sign languages. And on that note, I want to thank Barrister Bisiriyu. I want to thank Yetunde Yusuf for taking time out of no time. I know today is the Super Bowl, so it's a shutdown Sunday in America today. So I want you guys to go enjoy yourselves with your family. You know, enjoy the Super Bowl, enjoy the wings, enjoy the popcorn, enjoy the pizza, enjoy the barbecue, enjoy the beer, the alcohol, the soda, everything, and enjoy the game also, and enjoy time with family, most importantly. And we'll do this next week. Like I said, next week is going to be our final episode because the elections are on the 25th, and I think campaign ends like, is it 3 days or 4 days before the elections? I know you don't, or is it like a couple of days before elections you stop campaigning?
Yeah.
So I know you stop campaigning after that. So, because I regard this as a campaign also, what we do here as a campaign. So next week will be our final week. We'll see how we can integrate all team members that have been participating on this program, and also get people in also. I want people to join, maybe ask questions. We're going to make it very interactive, you know. We're going to try to make it very, as interactive as possible. We've basically gone through everything in the manifesto. Everything in the manifesto. And guys, you can get on my page. You see all of the works that we've done in the last 13 weeks. This episode 13, so 13 weeks, we've not missed a week. Also, we have it on YouTube also. So if you'd want to watch these videos on YouTube, we have them on YouTube also. And on that note, I want to thank you all. Thank you very much for joining. God bless you all, and see you guys next week.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Down my you.
Well,